Hi, I'm Jared, the lead maintainer for the Bridgetown project. What is Bridgetown? Bridgetown is a Webpack-aware, Ruby-powered static site generator for the modern Jamstack era. And I actually have that memorized. Anyway, Bridgetown 0.18 just recently came out, and in it there's a whole bunch of configuration options for picking your template engine of choice. And you can do that for your whole site or just on a file-by-file basis. Why would you want to change template engines? Well, it will all be explained in this video. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new Bridgetown website. So all we need to do is install the Bridgetown gem, and then once you've done that, type in Bridgetown, new, and we'll give it a name, template test. It'll create a new skeleton website, install the gems necessary to run it, along with the Webpack configuration and node modules required for that. And we're done. So let's go into the template test folder, run yarn start. We'll build the Webpack bundle, start up the Bridgetown server along with the live reload service, and let's see if it works. Go to localhost 4000, and here we are. Not much to look at so far, but it's a website. Have an about page, posts. Welcome to your first post on Bridgetown. All right, so now that we have that, let's open up that new folder in our code editor. I like to use VS Code here. Let's go ahead and open that up. So as you can see here, we have a few different files, Markdown files, HTML files, a number of folders. The source folder, SRC, is where you'll put all of your text content, images, layouts, blog posts, all of that sort of thing. Along with some of your components, which get loaded into templates, things like headers and footers and nav bars. So for example, this is our very, very simple nav bar component. If we change home to home page and save, and come over here, it's already reloaded. Now it says home page up here. This is our head file, also liquid. And as you can see, we have some liquid tags in here. And liquid is the default template engine for Bridgetown. So when you create a new Bridgetown website, out of the box it's configured to use liquid. If we look here at the posts Markdown file, it actually has Markdown and HTML, of course, but it also has liquid tags. And the reason for that is all files in your source folder that contain front matter also get processed through whatever the default template engine is. So in this case it's liquid, of course, so this is a liquid tag here to loop through site.posts. This is the end of the loop, and then for each iteration of the loop we get a list item. And in that list item, we can pull out the post title and URL and link to that. Now, what if we wanted to change this to a different template engine? Let's say ERB. ERB is a pretty well-known template engine for Ruby. It's the default engine on many projects, including Rails. So if you have any experience with other Ruby projects, you've probably used ERB. So let's change this to an ERB file. instead of a Markdown file. And let's change these tags to ERB tags. Almost done here. So there's a couple differences between Liquid and ERB here. One is that we need to use data to get to the title, and we need to add docs to the end of site.posts, because posts is a collection, and a collection object has a few different methods that are available through the Ruby template. So now that we have our ERB file, let's save that and come over here and look at our posts. All right, so our post file still works. We can prove that by adding some additional text here. Say post, come back over here, and there it is. So we have our post, and we can click on it. So that loop is working. However, we have a little problem here. Our Markdown content is gone. It's not processing as Markdown anymore. And that's because the ending of our file here is ERB. And because it's an ERB file, it's not getting processed through the Markdown converter. We could change this file ending to MD for Markdown and get our Markdown back, but then our ERB wouldn't work. And you can see that in action. So we'll change this back to MD. Come back over here, and oh no, our ERB template is not working. So we need to fix this. How do we fix this? Well, it's very simple now in Bridgetown 0.18. So let's keep that as Markdown, and instead we'll just add template engine ERB to the top of our file here. Now that we've done that, and save, let's come back here, and ta-da, we have our loop, we have our link, the link's being supplied via the Markdown syntax, and yet we still have our ERB syntax here in our template. Yay! Now, what if you want to do this elsewhere? What if you want to change all of your files to use ERB as a template engine and not use Liquid as the default? Well, there's a way to do that too. Let's go ahead and Control-C to stop the server. Now that we've done that, let's go over to our configuration file here, bridgetown.config.yml for YAML. And we're going to add template engine. Can't type this morning. Template engine ERB. Now we've done that, we can take it out of this file. So now the default template engine for the site is ERB. And if we want to do anything specific with Liquid, we'll have to set that in some way, which I will show you in just a moment. So let's restart our server here. Come back over here, and it still works. We have our home page, we have our about page, we have our post page. But wait a minute. We didn't change any other files to use ERB. For example, we still have all these layouts here. The page, the post, the home page. All of these layouts aren't using ERB, they're using Liquid. Well, it's because we have a .liquid extension on all of these files. So even though the default template engine is now ERB, because these layouts end in .liquid, they're still processed through Liquid. If we changed it to just say HTML, now our home page is not being processed with a Liquid layout, and we see this content tag here. So if if your layout ends in .html instead of something like .liquid, it's just going to be processed through whatever the default template engine is. So since we changed it to ERB, we could change this line to yield, save that, and now we have our home page text back. There's another way to do it, however. Like I showed you before, we could keep it .html, but add template engine liquid to the top front matter, save that, and that works as well. So anytime you're working on a file, you have to ask yourself first, what is the file extension? And then second, what is the template engine that's been configured for this site? So if your file extension is something like HTML or MD for Markdown, then you know it's going to be whatever the default is. And if the configuration file doesn't say anything specific, the default is going to be liquid. If it's been changed to ERB, in this case, then you know the default is ERB. You can change from the default by changing the file extension, so we could change this to .liquid, or we could put template engine liquid up in the front matter. Let's try another exercise. Let's change this layout, and we'll just say .erb because it'll be easier to remember what it is if we have the file extension like that. So now we have default.erb. It'll be processed as ERB no matter what is configured at the site level. However, our site's broken because, well, these are all liquid tags. So let's change these to ERB tags. So we're going to change the render tags, and we're going to change this to yield. We need to do that. Let's see. And we'll say page.data.title. And we'll change it up here as well. Page.data.layout. Page.data.pageClass. All right, I think that's everything. Let's go ahead and save that. Uh-oh, something isn't working. Why isn't it working? Oh, because it's looking for ERB files in the partials folder, and we don't want that. We want to find our liquid components. Well, that's very easy to fix. All we need to do is change it to liquid_render instead of just render. That instructs Bridgetown to look specifically for liquid components. Let's go ahead and save that. And we have our site back. We have our HTML head title working. We have our layout working. So there you have it. We've created a new Bridgetown site. We've looked at how the default is set to the liquid template engine, but we can change on a per file basis what that template engine is, or we can reconfigure the site to use a different default template engine, ERB, for example, and then we can go through our files one by one and switch out liquid tags for ERB tags, or we can keep some of our files as liquid. If we want to change some of these liquid components to ERB partials, we could do that as well. So for example, we could go back to saying render navbar, and we could move this to a partials folder. Let's create that. Change this to ERB, and the convention for partials is to have it start with an underscore, like in other frameworks such as Rails. So we'll do that. And since we don't actually have any tags in this navbar, we'll add one just to make sure it works. So we'll do page.data.title here, right below the navbar, to make sure we know everything's working. We've changed this to render, so let's take a look here. All right, so our navbar is now an ERB partial, and it's successfully getting the current navbar page title there. So that's how you use template engines in Bridgetown 0.18. I hope you enjoyed this screencast. If you'd like to watch more and find out more about Bridgetown, please subscribe to this channel or visit our website at bridgetownrb.com. We'll see you next time.